Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of E-Heroes. For those keeping count, this is episode 265, and my next guest hasn't appeared on E-Heroes for over 200 and some episodes, but today we're going to talk about 100 years of Disney and what my next guest has done to take people behind the magic is phenomenal. So welcome, Vance Morris, and we haven't talked since you were on episode 60, which was a couple years ago. And Disney's gone through a whole rigmarole of stuff. But today, as of October 16th, today is Disney's official 100 years. And I just thought it was, I can't say ironic to bring you on because you scheduled it. I
Yeah,
just
it didn't even dawn on me, but
but
yeah, this is fantastic. 100 years. It's it's you wonder because you hear we both know Dan Kennedy, and he always talks about remember Montgomery Ward. They were around for 100 years. Sears was around for 100 years.
mhm,
They're in the dustbin.
yeah.
Um, I don't think Disney's going anywhere anytime soon, but 100 years is not a company you want to trifle with.
Right. And I mean you've written about Disney. You've taken you've taken probably thousands of people through your program to Disney and just to get behind the scenes, to enjoy the magic. And even when you were younger, you worked for Disney. And there's a lot of things that kind of are embedded in your DNA when you left Disney and you teach now.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, and you brought it up actually just 10 seconds ago, about going behind the magic. And the 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 reality is, as we all know, there's no such thing as magic. I mean,
Come on, you just
sorry, man. Sorry, I know. Um, but I always use the analogy of, you think of a magic show and if you're in the audience, it's, wow, and you're amazed and, wonderment and everything because, how do you make the elephant disappear and chop the lady into 19 pieces and put her back together again? Um, but from the magician's point of view, all it is practiced, systemized hand movements.
Mhm.
That's all it is. I'm sorry, Rob. I really am sorry, but it is all about the systems, and when you are creating magic, whether it's for your business or for your family, um, there is a system or a process or a procedure behind it, and that was one of the big takeaways I had when I was at Disney. Was that one, it's if you don't have systems, crap falls apart really fast.
Mhm.
And two, that if you don't have systems, you won't have, and we'll use the term, magical experiences. You
Mhm.
can't generate them. I mean, you'll have one offs here and there, but to have a consistent delivery of these experiences without a system behind it, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And I going back to my first time experience dealing with Disney was back in 1985. And then, since then I've taken my family there, multiple times, probably every year now. And I know that you go several times a year. But one of the things that really helped me understand and get more of the magic out of Disney was to lower my expectations. I knew that I can't ride every single ride in the day. And if I try to, I'm running back and forth and this and that. And so I make a list of, okay, these are the rides I really want to get on. And if I can't get on them and I maybe have a B side or choice number two, at least I'm getting on a few rides. And I try to experience different restaurants that I haven't done before. And so the last time I was there at Magic Kingdom in September, we got on Tron, we got on Pirates, Haunted Mansion. Um, and then I think there was we did the Carousel Progress, which we haven't done in years. Um, but I think I only got on maybe 7 or 8 rides. That was it. But I was
Yep.
happy.
Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing how many people, I mean, overdo it and have a miserable time because they feel they've got to see everything.
mhm.
And I get it. There's people that save their entire lives to go to Disney, and they got to make their one trip is, they got to see everything. But
Hey, I've
after
been
about
there.
a
I've done that. I've taken
after
all
a
the
day and
kids
a half,
there, and
yeah, the
I
kids are miserable.
yeah,
You're miserable, and all you want to do is sit by the pool and drink a mai tai. You know, and it is no longer a great experience.
yeah.
And I think that's what Disney's doing with their price increase. I mean, they can't increase them fast enough to keep people from going.
Well,
Um,
it's when you look at the whole scheme of things, and I know Disney gets in trouble. I can't say really in trouble, but they get a lot of bad publicity for their pricing. But when you look at the cost of everything, gas is going up, food's going up, everything's going up. Disney has to adjust their prices every 3, 4 months, and then everybody's like, well, they just raised their prices. Now they're raising them again. And then they think that, oh my God, Disney's too elitist. The average person can't afford it. Well, yeah, sometimes it is cheaper to fly to Europe for a week than to go to Disney for a couple days.
yep, no
So,
doubt. But I mean, as much as Walt wanted, the park to be for everyone. Well, there's how many billions of people in the world? It can't be for everyone
right.
because everybody'd be miserable.
Yeah, and
Um,
and the park has to be ever evolving, which means that the rides
yeah,
have to consistently change. You go to Tomorrowland, and they're like, okay, well, these rides are so outdated. It's not
it's like
Tomorrowland.
yesterday land. That's what it is. It's yeah. Until they put Tron in,
Yeah,
it was yesterday land. You mentioned Carousel of Progress. I'm like, Lordy, when was the last time they updated that ride? That's not, but yeah, I think that Disney and their pricing is, I mean, it's obviously very strategic. And because they've got so many moving parts, they do need to raise, obviously the parks are the face of the company other than, the Disney Plus, the streaming channel. Um, but if you think about Disney is still managed to be 3x some of their competitors in pricing. I mean, I don't know if you've got you've been to Six Flags or Great Adventure or
mhm.
one of those parks.
And we have
Right now,
Hershey
it's
Park right near me.
yeah, you
So,
got Hershey Park right there. I mean, what's it
mhm.
cost to get in Hershey Park right now? Like $65 maybe for the
Yeah,
day.
I mean, it
You
used
know,
to be as low as 25, but
yeah.
you don't
So,
see
but
that.
Disney's 180.
Hmm.
Now, admittedly, the rides at Hershey Park or Great Adventure or Universal are 1,000 times better or more exciting than the ones at Disney.
Hmm.
I mean, can you imagine getting on It's a Small World and they take away all the little dancing dolls and get rid of the music and you're just in that little boat dribbling through that
Oh, that
canal?
sounds that sounds awesome.
Well, but I mean, that's all Disney's done is they've created experiences out of
Yeah,
really boring stuff and, have become masters at extracting money from people's wallets and leaving them feel happy, which is a lesson we should all learn
yeah.
is how do you extract maximum dollars from your customers and make them feel happy at
Right.
the
And
end of
and if we go back to Disney changing their prices every 3 months, we as entrepreneurs need to look at that as well.
it.
You know, uh, I just got my electric bill, and not to compare electric to Disney, but the electric company used to have this budget billing, where they'd say, okay, we're going to evaluate your electric and budget it throughout the year so that your amount's going to be the same 12 equal installments. Now they do it every 3 months. So every 3 months, I see my electric bill going up and up and up, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not budget billing. That's
No,
not,
it's not.
but in the same respect, we as entrepreneurs need to look at our pricing, and if we need to adjust and go higher, we have to go higher. Why is it
Uh,
that small businesses don't adapt as quickly as Disney?
they're afraid. They're definitely afraid of raising their prices and losing people, and that's just I mean, pricing is bad brain on the entrepreneur side.
Hmm.
And it's not on the customer side. It's the stinking thinking that an entrepreneur can't raise their price or won't do it because they're afraid. And I mean, I'll tell you, if you haven't raised your prices, at least to keep up with inflation, I
Hmm.
mean, you're miles behind everybody else.
Yeah.
And to top that off, it's a huge separator between you and your competitors,
Hmm.
um, because when you have higher prices, you attract a better clientele of people.
Hmm.
Literally, the call I had before this one, I was talking to a client, and she had raised her prices as I had recommended, and she goes, "Oh my God, I've got clients that like pay on time.
Hmm.
I've got clients that like are enjoyable to talk to." I'm like, well, see, I mean, right there. I mean, if you want better clients, well, go get better clients. You charge for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that math out there that says you could triple your price and lose 2/3 of your customers and be more profitable.
Hmm. And
And
both of us are from the cleaning industry. I mean,
yeah,
I left the cleaning industry back in 2014 when I sold my company and went full time doing this to help my clients. And when I started my cleaning company in '95, my slogan was "We clean your carpet, not your wallet." And I wanted people to think that, hey, I was the cheaper guy.
yeah,
The problem was what I attracted was people with no money with dirtiest carpets ever that took me 5 times as long to clean them.
yep,
But after a couple months, I thought I can't do this. I got to raise my prices. I can't keep attracting these clients are going to put me out of business.
yeah,
And so I tripled my prices and started attracting better types of clientele. And in fact, the clientele that I was attracting, their carpets were clean. It didn't take me that long to clean them, and they're paying me more money. They were getting me referrals. They were treating me like you know that I was the best cleaner ever. I mean, that just
yep.
it's a total mind shift when you start raising those prices.
And people, I mean, and it really is, I mean, our own, um, our own problem. Because there are people out there with money to
Yeah.
spend,
Hmm.
and but they want to spend it on value.
Hmm.
So you've got to deliver the value. Um, we always talk about experience, but you know, you've got to have an experience. Well, everybody's going to have an experience. Whether you have a good one or not is up to you. um but it's how much of a show. I mean, Disney always talks about putting on the show.
Hmm.
I mean, their employees are called cast members, and they perform a role in Disney's show. And this started with Walt. I mean,
Hmm.
he said, look, you know the park is my show, so you guys are going to play roles in that. And getting our employees on board that they are also performing a role in my show was surprisingly easier than I thought. Because once they realized they were going to make more money, it became real easy. So, when they lay down the mat at the front door and they exaggerate wiping their feet to make sure that Mrs. McGillicuddy sees them wiping their feet, they're like, "Oh my God, I got like a tip. Ooh,
Hmm.
great. Oh, wait, we raised it. We're getting more money because we wipe our feet before we go in the house."
Hmm.
I mean, who thinks of this? But that's the kind of stuff, you know, you don't have to raise your costs when you raise your prices.
Hmm.
You know, you don't have to add a lot of stuff. You just got to be intentional about, you know, how you do certain things, which is
Mhm.
what Disney is. They're very intentional. They're intentional about how they answer the phone, how they greet guests, how they operate a ride, how they, operate their restaurants. Everything is intentional. And I
Right.
think
Now, you
as
know,
small business owners, we leave too much up to chance.
right. Now, I'm not saying that Disney doesn't make mistakes because they
Oh
do.
God,
Every
no.
every company will make a mistake, just like we as entrepreneurs. And I'm not going to name, Bob Chapek as one of their mistakes because he was a great Imagineer. He was great at doing what he did prior to him being, an entrepreneur.
He was in the
Uh,
wrong
but,
role.
but he was, yeah, they put him in the wrong role, and so and he wasn't a spokesman.
No.
So it was when this whole PR debacle came out, and he no, it just so yeah, Disney makes some mistakes too, and but the thing is, the media latches onto those mistakes faster than they do all the positive stuff, and so it makes it look
Well,
like Disney's
that's
this
what
evil
sells.
empire. Yeah,
That's what sells,
it
man.
does what sells, but
Murder, rape, fire, mayhem. That sells ads for TV people.
yeah.
Um,
But,
because you never.
they've also done some great stuff, and
Oh
and
yeah.
and and they're they donate a lot of food, they donate a lot of money, they don't and people are, well, they look at some people look at the whole thing and say, well, they're still evil, and it's like, no, they're Disney to me is the ultimate example of how an entrepreneur can grow, and if they have systems and do the
And
things that they need.
standards.
Right,
Yep.
and they can last 100 plus years.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and it all goes back to Walt. I mean, it was his level eye of detail, his exacting standards that he demanded of his animators, and then the people in Disneyland. It
mhm,
was he was unwavering in that kind of stuff, similar to Steve Jobs.
mhm,
That just no, this is how we're going to do it. You don't like it, go find another company to work
mhm,
for, but we're going to do it this way. Um, and again, I think business owners sometimes feel held hostage by their employees,
mhm,
but employees just want to know what to do.
mhm.
And if you don't tell them, they're going to go figure it out on their own, and it's not going to be what you wanted.
Right.
And Walt knew that. I mean, Walt
Mhm,
knew that. Look, these were some extremely talented animators. They just needed direction,
mhm,
and which is how they came up with. I mean, the stories that Walt told were nothing was new.
right.
They were all hundreds of years old.
Mhm.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I don't know if you ever heard the original Snow White story, but there was like murder and gutting and people pulling spleens out. I mean, it was not a pretty story. I mean, thanks to Walt, they cleaned that story up a little bit. But
Well, a lot of
a lot of it, yeah.
it.
But it's he understood what the American public wanted and was able to deliver it.
Mhm,
But he did it in such a way that it was all about the details and the experience that he wanted to provide, which is, again, how he was able to charge the prices that he charged
mhm.
when Disneyland first opened. Those prices were exorbitant even in 1955.
Yeah, and but you look at all the things that Disney has created over the years, all the IP, and and if every entrepreneur just took a few of the things that they've created, their own individual IP, and learned to merchandise it better, market it better, spin it different way, tell a better story, their business would start to, grow and prosper. And but I think we forget. I mean, yeah, I've written all these books and I have some IP, and even my podcast is an IP, but I don't maximize it the way probably Disney would if it was a Disney property.
Oh, you're not kidding. I mean, and Disney though, and we talk about Disney mistakes. After Walt died, that 10 to 15-year period before Eisner and Wells took over was miserable.
Hmm.
I mean, their best movie was Herbie the Love Bug, followed by Herbie the Love Bug Does Paris. I mean, this was the extent of the creativeness.
Hmm.
And so they made a lot of mistakes. There was no synergy between merchandising and movies, or synergy between the parks and the movies, and it wasn't until Michael Eisner and Frank Wells came in that they took all of that IP, and there was, okay, before the ride open, or when the movie opens, we're going to have the ride open. The merchandise is all going to be there. Everything hits all at once. I mean, they did that with Little Mermaid. I can't remember what was that their first. I can't remember which movie was their first premiere, but um, they have just gotten it. And now they've got movies named after the rides. And I
Hmm.
always ask people, which came first, Pirates of the Caribbean, the ride, or the movie? And
Hmm.
half of them look at me like I'm nuts, but they're like, oh crap, I got to think about it for a second.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, cross utilizing your IP as much as possible, regurgitating it, repurposing it. If you got emails, that you send out, great, make them into little mini videos. If you
Hmm.
got videos, great, transcribe them and turn them into emails. There's so much stuff, that I mean, we could spend weeks, with one email, chopping it up into little bits and repurposing it, and you
And
got content.
the funny thing is that in the last few times I've been to Disney, I still haven't used their Genie Plus, and
No, I haven't either.
I've still got on all the rides I wanted. I still did everything that I needed to do, and I'm not saying that Genie Plus is good or bad. I just think it's an extra money grab that they don't need to have, because you and I both remember fast passes. They were free. They differentiate Disney over Universal.
Yep.
And it gave the people that came to the parks something that they could really appreciate. Oh wow, I just have to come back between this time and this time, and I'm getting on this ride. This is awesome. Now it's like shit. I got to pay an extra $15, to get on Tron.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
Disney does a great job at, as we said, extracting money from your wallet, and hopefully leaving you feel better. But some of their technology is absolutely brilliant.
Mhm.
They have beaten Amazon, the company, not the rainforest, um, to the punch on buying merchandise and walking out of the store
Mhm.
without ever going to a register. I mean, now in
Mhm.
most of the parks, you can take your phone, scan the item that you want to buy, and put it in the basket or the bag.
Mhm.
And when you leave, you just show the thing to the guy who's at the door, and you just walk
Yeah.
out. You
And
know,
food ordering is awesome
oh
because
my God, it's great.
you know I'll be at Pirates getting off Pirates ride and well, oh yeah, I want to go there. By the
Yep,
time I get to the restaurant, I'm just picking up my stuff and I'm gone. And then there's a line that's 30 minutes deep, and it's like, no, I'm not standing in that line.
yeah. I mean,
Or
there were a lot of good things that
the,
came out of COVID. That pre-ordering food.
Mhm.
Disney may have come up with it eventually, but it was born from they didn't want crowds, so you
Yeah,
ordered your food, and this is the time you got to pick it up.
yeah.
Um, Same thing with park reservations. Well, a lot of people were angry about it. I actually thought it was brilliant,
Hmm.
because you could gauge and know exactly how many people were going to be in the park on any given day.
Hmm.
You now plan your labor for it. You plan your food. You plan everything because you know 67,136 people are coming today. And not one more.
Now
Uh,
am uh, disappointed that they got rid of Spirit of Aloha.
oh
I
well,
love that buffet. I love watching the dancers, and they're replacing it with a hotel. Now I get the reason because the hotel is going to generate more money, more revenue with less cost than having a daily
and it's a
buffet.
big ass hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
Gee whiz, I drove by
And,
it last week. I'm like, it's a monstrosity.
Mhm. Yeah, it's but it's and a lot of it, it's a culture. It's like Apple developed this culture with their computers, their phones, and whatnot. Disney's creating that culture with the DVC.
Yep.
So you buy into it, and you know that you're always going to go there. Now I have a timeshare outside in Kissimmee that I go to once a year, and I keep saying to my wife, I said, I want to do DVC because we're there all the time, and I hate driving back and forth into the
Oh yeah.
parks. I want to just stay in the park, not have to go anywhere, just take their transportation. So I fly in, you know, and just get there. It just to me when I stayed at Art Animation, when I stayed at Fort Wilderness, it's like great. I don't need a car. I don't need to
Nope.
go anywhere. And the funny thing is that outside restaurants that deliver like Uber Eats and Grubhub, even grocery stores that are around there will deliver groceries right to you.
Yep.
So you don't even need to go
Yeah.
off
Yeah,
property.
the one thing that they squashed was that high-speed rail line from the airport direct to Disney,
Yeah.
and Disney didn't want any other stops along the way,
Mhm.
just to get everybody to our place, and
Yeah.
they're stuck with us. Um, but the government and everybody, well, no, we need to stop here, we need to stop there, and Disney's like, no, we can't let them get off. We got to keep them on and get them to our place.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
now, I don't know if that's ever coming, but once they get them on property, you're right. I mean, the spend is all on Disney stuff.
yeah. And to me, when I would fly in and then get a Mears bus, which is now Mears, but it was under the Magical Express under Disney, because Disney licensed them. It was just seamless,
Yep.
and it was that first experience dealing with Disney right out of the airport. Now it's no longer Disney; it's a Mears bus, and you're like, oh, I could have just taken a
Yep.
taxi.
They had a hard time controlling it, and they Disney had no control over the experience on the bus,
Hmm.
which was one of the big reasons that they got rid of it. Um, was because people complained about the experience on the bus, and Disney's like, well, it's not us because another we subcontract that, but guests didn't want to hear that, so
Yeah,
Disney's now shelling out, remuneration to people that are upset, and Disney didn't cause the problem.
yeah,
I think a lot of us have to take that into consideration when we're, you know, uh, giving money back, or trying to take care of service recovery for
mm,
for our business, and taking into consideration all of the parts. You go get your car fixed, you're without your car, or you got to sit in the waiting room, or you got to get a rental. So there, and unless you've got a Lexus or above, you're not going to get a borrowed car or a courtesy car from the dealership. um, so there's costs associated, in addition to repairing the car.
mhm,
And then when you drive off with your newly repaired car, you get 2 miles down the road and the damn thing breaks down on you. You call the tow truck, and now you're without your car again, and you got to get another rental. The repair shop is not doing anything to cover the tow, the extra rental. I mean, they're just like, well, sorry, we'll fix it again.
yeah.
And then they
Well,
charge you again
I
because, of
think it
course, it's
was,
not the same
I think it
problem.
was it
You
last
know,
week? Disney Genie Plus went down,
oh, wow.
and so you had people waiting in line at customer service for up to 3 hours to get a refund on their 3 hours. You could have been on multiple rides. You
You
could have
could
been
have been done a
enjoying the
lot of stuff.
park, right? And but yet you're standing in line trying to get a refund, and I would have waited to the end of the day after I was exhausted, going back to customer service and say, "Hey, look, I couldn't use Disney Genie. I get a refund."
Yeah.
But
You could have even left the park and called them the next week and say, "Hey, look, your app was down. Can you credit my credit card to $35?" And they would do it.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
I understand people. I the you know, you feel wronged in some way. You want to
Right.
get it fixed. I get it. But you also look at your time. You're at the park for only so many hours a day. You've already just wasted 3 of them trying to get 35 hours back.
I would have just blown it off until, yeah, I mean, and then you're agitated,
Yeah.
and
So the
agitated people don't have fun,
no.
so you make your family miserable.
Oh,
Did
when
you
I
see
was
the
there,
thing?
I was watching a lady. She was in a mobile cart. She was mad because she couldn't get through the crowd. Nobody was letting her through. So she just gunned it. And granted, gunning it means like 5, 6 miles an hour. She started
Yeah.
running people over.
Oh, it's gotten bad.
Yeah.
It's gotten bad. You know, I mean, half those people probably are. I shouldn't say anything. Half those people should be walking anyway to improve their health.
Oh yeah, it's like I told you off air. Is My wife and I think logged about 35 miles walking that week, which is great because we came back and it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
can't walk. It's raining. It's cold,
Right.
but I seem to get all my exercise when I go to Disney.
Yep.
Let's talk about you because you've been
Oh,
taking these groups of people to Disney for years, and you got your book, Systematic Magic, and so how has that helped these people understand how to improve their business?
well, certainly, and we talked at the beginning here about, going behind the magic. And really that's what, you know, is again, the book certainly is a great introduction to, how Disney makes the sausage, um, and how you can, we don't want to copy Disney because, well, none of us own a theme park. We don't own roller coasters. So copying them is the wrong thing, but we do want to adapt what Disney is doing into our own business. And, that's when I do the boot camps in Orlando, that is, the real thing is how do we create experiences out of those mundane things that we have to do day in and day out. And Disney's figured that out.
Mhm.
And looking outside of your industry, we hear, people tell the story all the time. How did the drive-through come about? For fast food. And the joke is, well, there's probably a McDonald's executive sitting in line at the bank, put his money in the deposit tube, that thing, whoosh, and away it goes. And he's probably thinking, well, how do I fit a milkshake into that? You know, and so, I mean, but you have to look outside your industry or your niche for the really big breakthroughs.
Mhm.
And I think that that's one of the huge lessons that, my attendees get, my members get, is being on a call. I mean, because I've got, I do a number of coaching calls every month, and it's a very eclectic mix of people. And I think that that's why it works so well, is that it's not, you know, 20 carpet cleaners getting on the phone. It's not
Mm.
20 home inspectors getting on the phone or attorneys or whatever. It's 20 people with varying backgrounds and various niches, and they don't think like you and I think about our individual business.
Mhm.
Um, so they can then act more like a potential customer, and give you better feedback than, if you said, well, what do you think about this idea? And you ask a room full of carpet cleaners, they're all going to give pretty much the same stock answer. But if you ask 20 people of varying niches and demographic and everything, you're going to get 20 answers. And
Mhm.
so the feedback and the power of having that differentiation, is huge. So I
Mhm.
mean, and so just getting out of your business for any period of time and looking at something else, and not thinking to yourself, well, I can't do that, I'm not a plumber. Well, no, you should be looking at it and saying, yeah, how the hell do they do that?
Well,
They got,
for me,
what's
it
it,
was
Ben Franklin? Do you have Ben Franklin plumbing near you?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the on time plumber.
Yeah.
They have that guarantee. Look, if we're not there on time, your inspection is free or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
not it's not like Comcast where it's we'll be there between 8 and 5.
eight
That's
and five, and they don't tell you which day that is either. They might say Monday, but they don't tell you which Monday. Um, but you looking at Ben Franklin Plumbing. How do you take their slogan and implement it in your business? I mean, a doctor could do that. You don't have to be in a plumbing company. You don't even have to be in a home service company. A doctor or an attorney. There's nothing worse. Every time you go to the doctor, they are never on time,
right.
ever. Even first appointment of the day, which is the one I always choose, 7 a.m. I figure they got to be on time for that one.
No.
No, it's 7:10, 7:15. And I said, where the hell you been? Oh, well, the kids and just show up to work on time.
Yeah, it's when I had the cleaning business, I had this idea. I was going to write a book about social media, and everybody's like, "But you're a carpet cleaner." Yeah, but I'm having the same problem dealing with social media like everybody else. Why don't I just write a book and simplify the whole process?
Yep.
And that's what I did, and it transformed my whole business. Now it's 10 years later. I've authored, co-authored, and produced over 40 books, and people are like, "Wow." And then I'm like, "Yeah, well, it started with one idea."
Yeah.
So, you take that one idea that you have, regardless of how ridiculous it seems, whether it seems that to others or yourself, and just run with it.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean Harvey Firestone, said that. I mean, I was doing some research for a presentation I'm doing, and it was about the original mastermind. That Napoleon Hill studied. We had Henry Ford, Harvey Firestone, and always forget the other. Was it Edison? It was Thomas Edison, and everything that came out of Harvey's mouth was, well, you can have a great this, but you always need to have great ideas. You can have a great this, but if you've got one powerful idea, I mean, that's how he came up with the rubber tire. One idea. And where is that company now? They've
yeah,
they've lasted 100+ years.
right, and there's always going to be situations like COVID that you look at and say, I can either fold as a company, I can either give up, or I can dig deep and keep going. And for me, it was I had more business than I could handle.
Oh, COVID was great for us.
Yeah, but here's the problem with most entrepreneurs that are out there. They wait to the last minute to decide that they need marketing,
Oh, yeah.
and then by that time it's too late.
It's too late.
You
You can
know,
never take your foot completely off the gas with your marketing.
Yeah.
You can slow it down a little if you're at capacity or whatever, but you can never take your foot completely off that accelerator.
No, and as a marketer, for me, I'm always marketing first. I'm marketing before I even market for my clients.
Yep.
Because if all my clients disappear, I'm still out there marketing. I'm still out there attracting clients.
Yep.
But if you say, well, I'll wait until my client leaves me, then I'll start marketing. Well, it's already too late.
And now you're in a hole.
Yeah. So it's that was the one thing that always impressed me with going back to Disney is that no matter how many things that they've done, no matter how many things that they've said that they couldn't do or people were criticizing them, they were just pushing every single day to reinvent themselves, to create new things, to inspire people to do more stuff. And every time I go there, it doesn't fail. I always get a call. Hey Rob, I need your help. And it's always become a very lucrative job that pays for my Disney vacations time
Exactly.
over and over again. And I don't know if it's the universe saying, "Hey, Rob's on vacation again. Call him." So it's like
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
always in line. It's like, "Oh, okay, I'll
Yeah.
help you." Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I saw this last week. Somebody said it, or I read it somewhere. Says impossible is just a word, not a statement of fact.
yeah,
And Disney completely typifies that word. I mean, that's they they don't, they look at impossible as a challenge, not as it's never going to get done. They just
Yeah.
got to figure out what, who, and when.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, their Imagineers are so smart, so incredible. And you look at some of the things that they've built, and you're like, how'd they do that? But you take the same thing, and people look at your business, and they say the same things. And you're just one person. I'm just one person. They're like, Rob, how'd you write 40 books? How'd you, or for you, how do you do what you do and take all these people to Disney? It's just the things that we've learned to adapt to. We've learned to maximize and monetize, and we just make it look easy. It wasn't
Yeah, I
easy.
mean,
It wasn't easy at the very beginning, but it's easy. It gets easier as we do it.
yeah, because that's what people see is what we're doing now, not what we did 15 years ago when we were first starting out. And
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. When I started my cleaning business, which was well after you, well, I had a job,
Yeah.
that job thing, um, and but it was
Hey, if you asked me to clean
miserable,
now, I can't.
miserable.
I couldn't go back to cleaning. I'm physically, I can't do it. And
Oh God, I would never. Yeah. Well,
it's like,
if the world blows up tomorrow and I got to start cleaning again, I would. But um, no, that's why I've got systems in place, and I put a general manager in place, and he runs all of my systems. And I got three businesses right now that don't need me in it,
hmm
because we put this stuff into place. And yeah, was it ugly 15 years ago? Oh God, it was ugly.
hmm
Did I the worst thing I think I ever did to my kids was drive them to their soccer practice in the carpet cleaning van because
Oh,
we
I've
didn't have
done,
a car,
I've done that.
and because there's no back seat, I had to put two kids in the passenger seat and wrap that seat belt all the way around two kids. They were embarrassed to hell, but I was like, well, that's the way it is. But so, now we actually have cars without our names on the side of them.
That's
Go
right.
figure.
Yeah. And the thing is you've systemized things so much, but what I find ironic is that you still are actively involved in your trips to Disney.
Oh
And
yeah,
and and I think, and for me, it's like every time I go to Disney, and people are like, "Well, Rob, you're 54 years old. Why do you go to Disney?" And I said, "Because it makes me feel like a kid again." And it's more than just the rides. It's more than just the food. It's more than just because every time I go there, I talk to people that are just like me who find it fascinating, all the things that Walt did,
yep,
and when my wife and I go by ourselves to Disney, we run into other couples, and they've been there, as many times as we have, and they're carrying on, and they're just it's sometimes it's better to go there and meet these people than it is to go to Europe and feel like I'm in a foreign land, because this is a magical land that and I forget all the outside stuff. I forget the worries. I forget everything, and it's just to me it's just that ultimate rest and relaxation and recharge.
yeah. Well, you don't even have to go to Europe. Just go to Epcot, buddy. You can see seven countries in about an hour, you know?
Yeah, and I love the Mexican Pavilion because you
Yeah,
go in there, and most people think, well, it's kind of dark and dingy, and you don't see much, but at the end of all that, you can dine, you can
yep.
also take a little boat ride, and there's a lot of fun.
Well,
Yeah,
they have a fake country there now, right?
a fake country.
Yeah, Arendelle.
Where
Norway's gone. They blew
Norway's
Norway up.
gone.
They put Arendelle in
Yeah, I
there.
I prefer the old Norway ride
I
myself.
did too. They still have Norwegians that are running that part, but you know it's funny. So here's my one dad joke for you: why don't you ever give Elsa your balloon? Because she'll just let it go.
Yeah, that one needed to stay.
You can edit that out if you must.
I don't say. But I Guardians. Guardians is a great ride at Epcot now, and even Remy's ride is awesome. Um,
You
but
know how Disney gets you to come back again and again and again?
and
Speaking of Remy,
the funny thing is I haven't been to Hollywood Studios in a couple years. I've ridden all the Star Wars rides. I like them, but to me, Hollywood Studios is a half day park still. Same with Animal
yeah,
Kingdom. You
yeah,
know.
it is. I mean, we were there. We saw. We had dinner in Galaxy's Edge. So I
Hmm.
brought the entire. So we had a whole catered party in Galaxy's Edge, and we had food from around the universe. The chef just went absolutely nuts with this menu. We had General Leah Organa's couscous, and Jar Jar Binks spinach salad, and I mean, they went all in on this. Amazing. You're sitting in what looks like it was the old hangar where the spaceships get worked on.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, it was I hadn't been to the studios in a long time either, and we did that, and when we did Phantasmic, which is the nighttime show, which
Hmm.
was as good as I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Harmonious at Epcot. But the whole Stargate, the
Yeah,
barges, I just thought were ridiculous looking. Um,
they blew those up, right?
they blew 'em
They're
up.
gone.
Yeah,
That didn't last long.
no, it lasted what, maybe 18 months if that.
18 months. Yep.
Yeah, it was and here's to go back to Disney is right now they're in their 100th year. They just Disney World just celebrated their 50th, so they got the merchandise that still says 50, and then it has a 100. I think it's a little confusing to some visitors because they don't know which they're on. And then some of the Paris just celebrated, I think 30 or 35. I forget which number. Um,
They were opened in 95 or 92. They opened in
yeah.
92. So, yeah, 30 years.
So it's the parks are having their different celebrations, and then you got the corporate celebrating their 100th. But yeah, I think it's always good to celebrate those milestones. I mean, Anspach Media, we actually started in 2001. We had a hiatus there for a while. I still was helping clients, just not as much as I do now. So we just celebrated 22 years, and which is great. You know, um, my cleaning business was at 19 years, almost 20, and I sold it. But I was in the cleaning business for over 20 years. So I think those milestones are important. Um,
They're an important marketing tool,
right. And
and
I
you don't
think
have
that
to wait for, the odd, the rounded out years, 10 years or 15 years. If you want to have your 16 and a half year birthday, knock your socks off.
hmm
I mean, we celebrate our anniversary, business anniversary every year. I
hmm
started it at year 5. Why I did waited till then, I don't know. I just thought I had to. So we had the 6-year anniversary, 7, and the marketing goes out, and taking a page out of Disney's book, their festivals, their anniversaries are months long. I mean, their 50th anniversary was an 18-month
hmm
extravaganza. So I've just laid claim to the month of August for the cleaning business anniversary, and we just market the snot out of it in the month of August, saying, hey, we're 17 this year.
hmm
But yeah, don't wait for we'll do it our 20th year. Why wait? Do it now.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. I mean, and you got to be different. You got to be different.
Yeah, you do.
I just, yeah, we could go on and on and on about Disney. I love a lot of the aspects, and and uh, we have mentioned the mistakes, but here's the thing: I make mistakes every single day. We call them failures, and without the failures, there is no success. Walt had lots of failures, and within those failures became multi-million-dollar successes. So you got to take the good with the bad. In fact, if there is no good without bad. So embrace embrace those mistakes, embrace those failures, learn from them,
100%.
and grow.
Yeah, no doubt, 100%.
So
Best advice.
how do people get a hold of you, and how do they go on these fantastic Disney trips with you?
Sure, sure. Yeah. The easiest and best place is just go right to the website, deliverservicenow.com. You can actually download a free PDF of the book. Don't even have to buy the darn thing. I'll just send it to you, email it to you. You've got it. But yeah, deliverservicenow.com is the best. And then you can explore all the nooks and crannies of, Disney trips that we're doing and different clients I'm working with. So,
Free book. Can't compete with that.
yeah, it's kind of hard, but
Well, that's one of the things that I always recommend my clients, that if we produce a book for them, or even if they have an existing book, make sure all your existing clients have one of your books. In fact, if
yep,
someone calls me and they say, "Hey, Rob, we want to hire you." Okay, great. Have you read any of my books? No. Let me send you a few, and then after you're done reading them, then we can chat. Because I want them to know a little bit about me. I want them to know my style. I want them to know, hey, Rob's sarcastic. So if that
yep,
sarcasm doesn't bode well with you, you're not going to be a good client. So read the book.
yep,
And
exactly.
getting your PDF, getting your, downloadable, they're going to learn more about you, the experience that they're going to get. They're going to learn about Disney. They're going to learn probably what to expect, maybe.
Yeah,
Although I know that you change things up a little bit and you always offer a little bit more than you did the last time. Um, but that's your DNA.
yeah, it is, and you know what? That's what makes us good entrepreneurs, Rob.
Hmm. So I want everybody go to deliverservicenow.com, talk to Vance, and join this coaching program too. And
Yeah, we
I
have
think
fun.
that, yeah, you'll have fun, and you know you probably won't talk Disney all the time, but
No,
you'll learn a lot of examples from Disney, and I think that's going to really help your business.
thanks. I appreciate it.
So enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you guys on the next one, and hope to one day see you guys at Disney World.